Good day to you. Welcome back to part 9 of 7 Habits by Stephen under the Mistletoe. Today we started talking about the different types of centeredness, the way that people can be focused around in their life, different paradigms, different things that define and influence people. One of the most common is being work-centered, and we're focusing on money, but it can be someone's own undoing. If it comes at the cost of relationships and other things, people assume that others will understand that money is the most important thing, but nevertheless, it hurts people when they are overlooked. The example was a father whose children were going to be taken to the circus, and he got a call to try and come into work at the last minute, and denied the call and told his wife. And she said, maybe you should have gone to work. He says, well, work will come again, but their childhood won't. And apparently the children remembered that selfless act for the rest of their lives. So keeping in mind the impact on other people is always important. Some people are possession-centered. Obviously, that comes with its own host of problems. Possessions can vanish, they can devalue, or they can be lost or stolen. If your sense of security lies in the reputation or on things, then it's in a constant state of jeopardy that those things will disappear or will be no longer relevant. People who are possession-centered, they'll feel inferior when in the presence of people with more worth, and they'll feel superior when in the presence of people with less worth. So there's no sense of constancy. Another type is to be pleasure-centered. Guilty. Around the instant gratification. The problem with being so focused is that your expectations are always increasing. And the result on your inner person can be detrimental if it's just about pleasure rush to pleasure rush, because they offer no deep satisfaction and you're constantly in need of more. And it's true. It's sad but true. Too much undisciplined time will gradually waste a life. So it's all about the disciplined time, disciplined focus, and productivity. There's no security, guidance, wisdom, or power in a pleasure-centered life. Pascal called it licking the earth. I like that one. Then a lot of people are friend-centered. The problem can be that the social mirror becomes a source of the 4 life support factors that we talked about earlier. Wisdom, guidance, power, and security. So if those are coming from your friends, then you can get emotional dependency, and it can grow out of such a state. Some people could even end up putting an enemy at the center of their life, which is reacting to behavior and attitudes makes you counter to their actions and become bitter, and it's not a good thing to do so. The example was a man at university who was obsessed with one administrator and allowed that person to distract them and distort their reality and exemplify or exacerbate their weaknesses. It becomes the entire map of the life. And eventually he had to admit that he wanted to leave the university, but had to admit that he'd allowed this person to have so much power over them and influence them in such a bad way. Being irresponsible by not handling responsibility well. A lot of people will blame their parents for their circumstances, which makes their self-worth volatile. They have no intrinsic security. Guidance in such a state is how others respond to you. The wisdom it can be limited by the social lens and by other people pulling on your strings. So it's important to not fall into any of those traps. Any centric lifestyle can be too much of a good thing or too much of a bad thing. So let's continue to focus on balance as we move forward. Thank you.